Hey again, the video uploaded, yay! Okay, this is just a little addendum. I didn't add this into the recent video because I was afraid about time and size and upload time and all of that stuff. But now that I know it works or has the potential to work, I just wanted to add a couple more things about TINE and managing it and all of that stuff. One recent experience that actually inspired this whole blog post, because I was writing it in my head or envisioning it in my head when I was not supposed to be. I'll explain that in a minute. I recently went back to my alma mater, my undergraduate university, same place, same exact place where I remember as a senior sitting in the grass telling myself that trees existed, and leaves existed, and that is the wind, and that is a squirrel, etc. They installed a prayer labyrinth, and a prayer labyrinth is a path set in stone, usually into grass or any other sort of surface area. And there's one, I think, in Chartres Cathedral in France, but you have to check on that because I'm not sure if it's that cathedral or anywhere else. But it's a fairly old contemplative tradition. Christian tradition is prayer labyrinth, but walking meditation shows up in other religious traditions like Buddhism. And the point is to walk the path of the labyrinth all the way to the center, and then once you've arrived at the center, you should be sort of mentally and spiritually centered, and then you're supposed to take that centered experience and walk the path out, and then take your centeredness and your composure and your kind of spiritual wholeness back out with you on the path out back into the world. So I was down at my alma mater just doing some paperwork, gearing up for teaching this next semester, and so I decided, you know what, I'm down here, I might as well go visit the chapel, go visit the prayer labyrinth. So I took off my shoes and I walked into the grass and I started walking the prayer labyrinth. And as I was walking the prayer labyrinth, I was trying to do what I did or attempted to do during my senior year in that same spot, which is just focus my mind on the one physical experience of being there. Kind of the Peter Sellers being there sort of experience. I don't know if that is relevant, but focusing in on that physical experience, that physical task of just walking and feeling the grass under my feet and being very focused on what my body was doing and how I was feeling and my posture and all of those sorts of sensations that usually get tossed by the wayside in my normal everyday process of thinking, because of dominant introverted thinking and supporting extroverted intuition, I don't always, as an INTP, have a strong sense of being in my own body. And one thing I told a friend of mine in graduate school, I don't do a very good job of being a body. And because I study asceticism, this is one of the things that I've realized is that I am a body. I'm not just a brain in a body. I am a body, and I should pay more attention to the experience of being a body. And my inability to pay attention to that fact or to incorporate that fact into my daily life produces, in the long run, a lot of grief and unfortunate consequences, like my back going out because my posture is so bad because I'm not paying attention to the way my body sits in a chair. Or just bad food habits. One of my most serious problems is clumsiness. And I know that seems kind of trite and stupid, like, oh, I'm so clumsy. No, I'm really, really clumsy and forgetful. Like, I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached. I've lost count of the number of places I've left my purse. I shouldn't even carry a purse. I will lose it. I lose everything. I forget where I am, what I'm doing. I've tripped and beefed out on my face and on my knees so many times. One time I bashed myself around like 4 times in the same day, just by not even paying attention to where my limbs were going, completely inadvertently. I don't have a death wish, but apparently my inability to think of myself as inhabiting a body and be aware of my body is going to get me killed one of these days, one way or another. I'm just gonna walk into traffic or something. I don't know. So anyway, that's one of the things that I'm bad at and hoping to do better, do a better job of. And so, walking the prayer labyrinth, I was thinking about all of these things and all of my difficulties and my experience and my way of narrativizing, again, that experience of walking the prayer labyrinth so that I could write a blog post about it, which is not what you're supposed to do when you're doing walking meditation. Because when you're doing walking meditation, you're supposed to focus on the experience of being there, and that you're supposed to be centered. You're supposed to be mentally centered and still. And you're supposed to allow your physical experience to almost to take over from your restless mind. And thankfully, after slowing down and walking the prayer labyrinth very, very slowly with my shoes off, I reached the center of the prayer labyrinth, and I was able to just stand there and see the trees and hear the squirrels and the birds and the cars going by behind me, and just feel the sensation of the grass under my feet and know that I was standing in the middle of a prayer labyrinth that I had just walked. And that was it. It was amazing to me how simple it feels and how wonderful it feels to stare out on the world over this prayer labyrinth and have that be your only thought of, I just walked this. I am now standing at the center of it. This is where I am. I am located in the world. It's like a religious experience of finding or arriving at the axis mundi, the navel of the world, and feeling finally centered, feeling like you've been located. You have kind of like a tractor beam on you or a tracer on your location, and you've finally been found, instead of just basically been wandering through all of these sort of nebulous spaces that have either no significance or 1,000 significances. So it's basically, it's very much a location in space and a location in meaning and a rootedness and a centeredness that is still and quiet and calm and reassuring. At least it feels reassuring it felt reassuring to me. So I was able to stand at the center of this prayer labyrinth and feel all of these things, this centeredness, this stillness, this simplicity and clarity of mind that rarely ever comes to me. I'm rarely ever able to experience that stillness. Some people have it. Some people just do it. Some people can be very tactilely engaged and very centered and focused on one thing at a time. And that's amazing to me. It just comes so naturally to some people, and it's amazing to me. But it takes a lot of work. It takes dedicated focus for me to be able to get in that space. And I realized that is kind of the point of the contemplative tradition, is to quiet the mind and give and provide kind of techniques and technologies that enable someone to achieve that state, if that state is not accessible through sheer kind of willpower and just sitting there. So I experienced the first time in my own life a principle that I've been studying for quite some time, and that's the principle of asceticism as a mode or a set of physical, real-world techniques that require a certain kind of cognitive self-staging. So that was really enlightening to me from an academic perspective, but also from the perspective of just someone trying to get a handle on her own mind. and live in reality and do the work to stage herself mentally in a way that doesn't come naturally, but is required based on, like being a responsible adult with work to do. So yeah, I really recommend walking meditation, strangely enough, to INTPs, because sitting meditation, I don't see how any INTP could ever achieve stillness through sitting meditation. I honestly, I think of myself doing sitting meditation and just being so distracted and so caught up in mental spin-offs, quite honestly, that because sitting meditation privileges the activity of the mind and the mind's control over the body, or at least it assumes, I guess, that the mind is strong enough to be still in itself. But walking meditation seems to place or use the body to get control over the mind. And I really recommend that. And I think that's why, even though it's uncomfortable and I kind of hate it sometimes, exercise. I've heard a lot of INTPs talk about how helpful exercise is for mental clarity and just for reaching that kind of calm, still mental sweet spot. That's kind of sounds kind of weird, but I recommend any INTP who's interested in achieving that sort of stillness or clarity or alternative mental staging, we could call it, to investigate walking meditation or exercise-based meditation and see how it works for you. It was amazing to me. I'm going to do it twice a week. I'm going to be out there teaching twice a week. So every day I'm out there. I'm going to walk the labyrinth, and I'm going to make it work for me because I know I'm going to need it, and I know that I can't just get away with letting my brain do whatever it wants. So if that sounds like something that would work for you, I recommend it. And drop me a line. Let me know how it goes if you decide to try it out. See you later.